All right, so given the red graph, f of x, they want us to graph, first of all, we're going to graph the absolute value of f of x. So think about what the absolute value of f of x does. Anytime so here's that graph right there, that point right here, all of these points on this line are positive, or at least not negative, 0 or positive. Those aren't going to be changed when I take the absolute value of them. So for instance, well, this is 1, by the way, and this is 2. When I plug in 1/2, my value right here, f of 1/2, which was a half, f of 1.5, which looks like a half, that point is still going to be a half when I take the absolute value of it, because it's a positive value. So taking the absolute value didn't change it. So all of these points are going to be the same from here to here. All of those points are going to be, all of these points are going to be the same. Same with all of these points right here. Those are all going to be the same. They're all going to be positive, 0 or positive values. The trick is when you get to these values right here, all of the negative values, since I'm taking the absolute value of them, they're all going to become positive values. So this point right here, for instance, is going to go right to there. This point right here, which is negative, let's say 0.8, is going to become a positive 0.8. This point right here, which is -1, is going to become positive 1. This point, all of these points there are going to be all up here. They're all going to be positive 1, not -1. All of these points are going to go right there. So my graph is going to be just a reflection like that. It's going to be a reflection of that all of the negative values over the x-axis. So that's my answer, that green graph, which is all positive. So now let's do the other one, which says graph f of the absolute value of x. So what this means is now every time I plug in an x value, so let's find f of the absolute value of 2. Well, f of the absolute value of 2 is the same as f of 2, because the absolute value of 2 is 2. And so it's just that point right there. How about 1/2, f of 1.5, sorry. F of the absolute value of 1.5, well, the absolute value of 1.5 is just 1.5, so it's f of 1.5, which is that same point. So all of these values are going to be the same. Same with these values, because the absolute value is the same thing. Now let's take a look at this one. What's f of the absolute value of 0? All of these points are going to be the same, because all of these are positive values. Every positive x value is not going to change. It's going to be the same value. But now this point right here, f of the absolute value of -1, because I'm plugging in -1, that's -1 right there. Well, what is the absolute value of -1?
1.
It's positive 1. So that's really f of 1. And what's f of 1? Let's go back over here. Here's f of 1 is up there. That's f of 1. It equals 1. So this really is up here. Same with this value right here. What's f of the absolute value of -1/2? What's -1/2? What's the absolute value of -1/2? It's positive 1/2. So they want this equals f of positive 1/2, and positive 1/2 is right here. So it's this value right there. And same with every other point. All I'm really doing is taking these positive values over here, and I'm reflecting them over the y-axis. So that's it, and that's it right there. It's just a reflection. So this graph is a reflection over the y-axis. This graph, the green one, was a reflection only of the negative values. Any of the y values that were negative, it reflected it over the x-axis. And that's how you do that problem.